new GoPro Hero 11 Mini, a smaller, more durable version of the Hero 11. On paper, it seems like this is the perfect camera for cinematic FPV, but is that actually the case? That's what I'm gonna be going over in this video. So GoPro told me they were gonna be sending me one of these cameras, but when the box showed up, it also came with this guy. So obviously I had to test him out, and we kind of made a little short film about his life along the way. So before we get into the video about the Mini, here is a film about this surfer dude. His name is Chad. Alright, so now that is over. If you guys did like that, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. It definitely took a little bit of extra work, but it was super fun to film. And GoPro, please send me more toys to play with. That was super fun. Let's get into the review. I am constantly on the hunt for the best FPV camera. In the past, GoPros have always been my go-to camera. For stabilization, image quality, colors, they are honestly just far superior to any other action camera on the market. So the idea of a smaller, more compact camera with that same great image was super interesting to me. At this point, I don't feel like I really need to explain why GoPros are the best. I've got a bunch of other videos if you do want to check those out. And every single consecutive GoPro just gets better and better. Here is one of my favorite shots I've gotten on this camera so far. You can see the dynamic range is solid, colors are great as always, and it's just crystal clear, even when you're playing it on like a 4K TV. And what's so crazy to me is it was taken on this camera, which is so freaking tiny. Something that's really awesome on the new GoPro Hero 11 is that it has an 8x7" sensor. So with Real Steady, when you're stabilizing, you can either export vertical or horizontal, and you don't really even need to shoot both vertical and horizontal. You can use the same video clip. The Mini is kind of similar to the GoPro Bones that they released last year, but it does have an internal battery, so you don't need to actually plug it into your drone. It's basically just a Hero 11 without a screen, so you shave off a little bit of weight, which is actually really important because every gram matters in FPV. Unfortunately, it's not a ton lighter than the normal Hero 11. It's 133 grams versus 153 grams. And with making it smaller and removing the screen, you now have to change the settings in your GoPro app, so you can't just do it right on the camera. As far as the actual camera itself, it seems quite a bit more durable. One, because it just doesn't have a screen, and two, because there's actually like metal heat sink material on the back, and it just feels like it'd be really freaking hard to break. It also has this second mount here in addition to the original mount, so you can mount it in a lot of different ways. Tech specs are definitely worth mentioning. This camera shoots at 5.3K 60, 4K 120, and 1080 240. And because this camera is smaller, I've found it to be a decent bit more aerodynamic than the normal Hero, because the normal Hero is kind of like this, whereas this profile is much smaller. This camera even has 10-bit color built in. When I first got this camera, a few of my concerns were number one, battery. Without an external battery, this camera can only be charged up via a cord. You can't just take out the battery and put it back in. So I was kind of concerned that every time I wanted to film on this camera, I'd have to just be constantly recharging it the whole time. But I honestly never really did. I wanted to test out how long I could record for without dying, so I ran this little test, and honestly, I was freaking blown away by this test. I had it out there for almost 50 minutes of straight recording. It was shooting at 4K 60, and yeah, I mean, with 50 minutes of recording, that's basically like 8 to 10 flights, which usually in a normal day, I never end up doing that. It actually performed super well, and for a normal whole shoot day, this is totally fine for me. Another concern of mine was just being annoyed at the fact that I couldn't change settings on the actual camera and I had to do it through my phone and connect every time. And to be honest, that part is a little bit annoying. I don't change my FPV settings a ton, but when I do change them, it is kind of a little bit of like extra time wasted when you have to connect the thing. And for some reason, I don't know if it's actually just a setting that I need to change, but the GoPro goes to sleep super fast. So sometimes when I'm like in the process of trying to connect it or trying to review shots or trying to look at how it looks, the GoPro will just go to sleep. Like I said, I don't know if that's a settings thing that I can change, but that also does get a little annoying. But honestly, it doesn't add that much extra time, and it's kind of cool when you do get a cool shot to go back and just look at it on your phone on that bigger screen. It's similar to just using a naked GoPro or a GoPro Bones. Pricing wise, this camera is a bit cheaper than the normal Hero 11 though. With the GoPro subscription, which I definitely highly recommend getting, it's $299 and the normal 11 is $349. Before I get into my final thoughts about this camera, I just wanted to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Artlist. Artlist is the website that I got all the music for this video from. These videos would not be possible without my sponsors, and the cool thing about Artlist is I actually used them for my videos long before they became a sponsor for this channel. Even if you've heard me talk about Artlist in the past before, you're definitely gonna wanna stick around for this because they just introduced a massive new plan called Artlist Max. Now, most of you probably already know what Artlist is, but if not, it's basically just a massive library of copyright-free music and sound effects to use for your videos. But with the new Artlist Max, you not only get music and sound effects, you also get ultra high quality stock footage, designer video templates and plugins, and your very own video and image editing software. The stock footage is some of the best that I've seen out there, and they have so many templates and plugins to make your videos super professional. Just scrolling through here, they have all kinds of title animations, LUTs, overlays, pretty much everything you need to make your videos look professional. So if you'd like to support the channel and check out Artlist, the link is down below. And if you do go through that link, you get 2 free months on me. Now back to my final thoughts about the Mini. To be honest, I think the biggest argument for this camera is how durable it is. I have no freaking clue how many GoPros I've gone through throughout the years, but it's definitely a lot. Just the other day, my friend and I were over on the big island of Hawaii, going to see the lava over there. And he literally came in for a landing at this waterfall we were shooting, and he didn't have like a crazy crash landing or anything, but it just kind of bounced a little bit and the back screen cracked. But with this camera, you don't need to really worry about that at all. And if the front filter cracks, you can just get a new one. On the subject of filters, the filters that I'm using for this camera and all of my GoPros and air units and stuff are from Freewell. These NDs are super crucial in FPV to get that cinematic motion blur that really gives FPV its unique look. And then I also use Freewell filters on the actual air unit itself. Quick little tip about the air unit, if you're using the new O3 air unit, Avata filters will work. And my tripod is collapsing! Okay, apparently that's all I have to say about filters. And like I said, with the smaller surface area and just being slightly lighter, drones do tend to fly a little bit better with this camera on. So going forward, for FPV, this is definitely going to be my go-to camera. So to end this video, I am going to propose what my ideal picture-perfect FPV camera would be. And honestly, GoPro would just need to change a few small things to make it perfect. So first off, it has to be significantly lighter than the normal GoPro. If it was anywhere around 100 grams, that would be super solid. Next, it has to have a removable battery. This one does last for quite a while, but because it's a bigger battery, you then add a lot of weight to the camera. But if you had a removable battery, you could have a smaller battery, you'd lose weight, and if you run out of battery on that, you'd just be able to swap super easily. And GoPro, you'd be able to make a bunch of money from a different size battery. And then the last thing that I would love to see is just a screen that clips on and off. I used to film with a naked GoPro a while back, and literally it was just this super light, naked, stripped down GoPro, but it had a screen that clipped on. So anytime I wanted to change settings or look at the shot, look at the light or anything like that, the screen just like clipped on and it was totally fine. I would freaking love if this camera had that feature. It's not like the worst thing in the world having to connect to your phone, but it's certainly not ideal, and it would just be nice to have a screen that goes boom. Even if it was like connectable via USB-C, where you can just plug it in and then you have an external screen to look at. I think if GoPro decides to make another generation of this, they could definitely make the perfect FPV camera. I am definitely no engineer, but it's super, super close to being the perfect camera already. So thank you guys for watching. All your comments and likes and everything really help support the channel a ton and allow more people to see my content, and I just really freaking appreciate every single one of you. But that's it for this video. I will see you on the next one. Peace.